All right, let's go ahead and get this meeting going. I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the Palmdale City Council. It's 5 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get a roll call. Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bishop.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Loa.
Here.
Council members Olson.
Here.
Betancourt.
Here.
Alarcon.
Present.
Commissioners Frankenstein.
Here.
And Betts.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. Moves us on to the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief moment of silence. Mayor Pro Tem Loa, can you lead us in that?
Yes, President.
Thank you.
Place your hand over your heart and repeat, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silence, please. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, so tonight we're going to be adjourning the meeting in honor of Lieutenant Shreves. And Ms. Betancourt has something she'd like to say at the end of the meeting for that, so stay tuned. All right, presentations. We're going to go a little out of order. We're going to start with 4-2. First, we have a lot of people here standing tonight to receive their certificate of recognition for the Youth Art Contest, Winners for Utility Box, Wraps at the Parks. So we have a presentation.
Is there a microphone or just here?
Yeah.
Just there, okay. And the certificates?
Just a brief background, if you've seen some of the utility boxes out at the parks, those are done by local artists, by the youth in our community that are out there making a difference. They put the pen to paper, they put their hearts and their souls in this artwork, and we were proud to have that as a showcase, as a piece in our community at our parks and around our city.
Yes, can I speak a little about it?
Absolutely,
Yeah, okay.
please, yeah.
So as part of the beautification efforts in Palmdale, we had a Youth Art in Our Parks contest to wrap utility boxes at 6 of our local parks. And we opened up a Youth Art in Our Park contest in January, ran through February. And that was open to local Palmdale School District children and local youth in the elementary school ages, so K through 5th. We got, can anyone guess how many applications or submissions we got? 300 less, one more. Very close, we got 110. So that's a pretty good amount. So that's 110 elementary school children. And out of that 110, we selected 9 winners. And the 9 winners are here with us tonight. So I wanted to tell you how many we got, because it's not for nothing that you 9 were selected. And so those wraps are supposed to be completed by the end of the fiscal, so sometime in June. And then we will notify the families where their art is and what park was selected and what location. And then you guys can go out there and take all your glamour shots next to your wrap. And the wraps are durable vinyl material. So some of the parents asked me, is it just temporary? Nope, it's supposed to be there for quite a few years. It has anti-graffiti coating on it. So if anybody writes on it, we can wipe it down. And that's part of the beautification of our parks. So you guys are part of making Palmdale parks even more beautiful. Give yourself a round of applause. So Mayor, were you going to present them with the certificates?
Yes.
Okay, and then Quentin, I'm going to have you come up here and give Mayor the certificates. Guys, when I call your names, I know some of you are not sitting next to your parents, but you're going to come up here. And then we're going to take a picture. I'm going to give you your art piece and a certificate, so your hands are going to be full. So the first winner that we have here is Oaks Arambula. And Mom, if you want to come up with him, you certainly can.
Quick question. Quick
Sorry,
question.
I did that out of
Sorry, I
order.
know everybody's like clapping. Is there a way that we can see the art piece?
Yeah, all of the art pieces are here, and the kids are going to be
We
holding
can't-
them.
Oh, they're gonna hold them.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Right, go ahead, Quentin. Parents can take pictures too, but we're going to take a picture as well.
Show it back here, Austin.
Next, we have Lexi Milan. Lexi, come on up. And go ahead and shake Mayor's hand. He's going to give you your... I think we'll hold the art. I think the certificate is enough for their hands. Jean Paul Katia, come on up. Fiona Bobrowski, come on up. Kai Richard, Kai. And guys, we might have to put 2 tiers on, but for now, good job. Emily Torres, Emily, you're next. And Jacob, I saw you back there, Jacob Clinton. Over here, Jacob, come on over here. Jacob, Quentin's going to tell you where to stand right over here. Annabelle Miller. And our 9th winner is Kyla DeVote. So let's see if we can get them to squeeze in with Mayor. Squeeze in, Jacob, squeeze in. And then Mayor, good idea, maybe behind them. And then parents and, hi, can you scoot in? There we go. Is that good? All right, kids, you see the big camera over there? Look over there with a sweater, green sweater. And we called to his attention while he's changing battery.
A picture with all the kids. I just want to say an extra special congratulations to the parents of these children. It takes a village to raise a child, and these children are our future leaders. So thank you for being here. Thank you for raising these children. Congratulations to you.
Winners.
And parents, just one last thing as we exit, maybe because we're standing, when we go outside, I have the art, so I'd like to take individual pictures of them with their art, so we'll do that outside. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Great job.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take about a 2-minute break to take some pictures of the kids with their artwork and allow the facility to clear out a little bit and be able to use the rest of the chairs that are in the room. So just give us just a moment.
Number 1 of our presentations, commendation recognizing Fred Barthay as Veteran of the Year.
Okay, so we started with the kids, and now we're moving on to the 90-year-olds. Turn around. Face your adoring public. Look at this. All right. Our 2024 Tom Hilsendigger Veteran of the Year, Fred Barthay. Whereas we are recognizing Fred Barthay as the 2024 Tom Hilsendigger Veteran of the Year, and whereas Fred Barthay served in the Korean War as a combat air crewman. You were in the Navy then, right? Was that your choice? Okay. Well, when he was young and didn't know better, he joined the Navy. But then after the war, he wised up and joined the United States Coast Guard, where Fred reached the rank of lieutenant commander. 70 years after the Korean War and World War II, Mr. Barthay is a loyal partisan of his community and continues to advocate for veterans. He is known for enrolling veterans of World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam in the Honor Flights, a nonprofit that flies veterans to various military memorials. We're going to give you a chance to talk about that. Fred Barthay is a member of Coffee for Vets, Vets for Veterans, the Vietnam Wall Committee, and the Bombshell Betties. Were you Miss January? Fred Barthay is an inspiration and influence in our community, and he continues to go above and beyond for all veterans. So on behalf of Mayor Austin Bishop, it is my honor to present this commendation to you, and on behalf of the rest of the City Council, we deem you Veteran of the Year. And you get a sash.
Get it on. He's out of sash practice. You have to practice putting on the sash. There you go. Woo!
Let's do a couple pictures real quick. All right, now let's hear from the man himself.
Thank you, one and all. Just
We have some other dignitaries that want to make a presentation as well.
thank you very much for joining me. This is really nice. And your name?
My name is Natalie.
Natalie. Well, thank you very much for joining me. And your name, what? Really? Thank you very much for being here.
We're gonna have a lot of sitting tonight. What's that? We're gonna have a lot of sitting tonight.
What's wrong?
There's more people here that want to present you with something, and then at the end we'll let you say a few words. How about that? So let's start with Congressman Mike Garcia's office, Christine Ward.
All right, let's look over here this way because my photographer is on this side of the room. So, first of all, Fred, what an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure. Don't make me cry, okay? You know, when they gave us the opportunity to nominate, well, I just went online and said, I nominate my Fred Barthay because this man has gone over and beyond, making sure that every veteran eligible that can take a trip for free through the Honor Flight program back to Washington, D.C., and this man has done it. If somebody, you know, he started out driving a DAV van, which is for Disabled American Veterans, all the way to West LA and back. You know, that was like in his 70s and going into his 80s. right? 80s. So, so honored again to present to you on behalf of Congressman Mike Garcia, the Tom Hilzendegger City of Palmdale's 2024 Veteran of the Year. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, let's look at Jackie. So, okay, perfect. All right, I will get this from you so that the next person. Can you get one more? I'm gonna set this here because I'm like leaning from ear to ear.
Thank you, Chris. Next up, we have representing State Senate Office Scott Wilk and Supervisor Barger Leo.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Leo Bautista with Supervisor Barger's office, and I'm pulling double duty, so I will also be presenting on behalf of Senator Scott Wilk. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I have to say, Fred, it is not only an honor, it's not only an honor and privilege to stand right here alongside you, but to know you as a person. And I definitely have to say that Veterans for every Coffee for Vets, I definitely look forward to your jokes. You don't have to worry about what everybody else says, okay? So on behalf of Senator Scott Wilk, I present with you the 2024 Tom Hilzendegger, well, Veteran of the Year, and as well on behalf of Supervisor Barger, congratulations, and it's well deserved.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next up, representing Assembly Member Tom Lackey, Carlo. Oh, and he's representing Juan Carrillo. He's doing double assembly duty.
Thank you very much. Carlo Basile is representing Assemblyman Lackey and Assemblyman Carrillo. Fred, you're just a miracle worker. You know, ever since I heard about the DAV rides, I think it was early, about 3 years ago, I was impressed. I was going, my God, here's somebody who's really challenging the rest of us to donate their time, to donate their energy, and be better volunteers to the vet community. And it's my honor to know you, and it's my privilege to present you with the Tom recognition by the Assemblyman Carrillo of the Tom Hilzendegger Veteran of the Year. Thank you. Thank you, Fred. Welcome. We got another photo?
Okay, now representing the Antelope Valley Veterans Community Action Coalition, I think I got all the words in there. Dean Brown.
Oh boy, Fred, what can I say about you? You know what? You've been up here a long time, and I believe when you first came up here, you came to Crazy Hours of Coffee.
Absolutely correct.
That was a long time ago. How many years, Juan?
Over 15.
It's been a while since we've been doing that, and you have stepped in and done more than your share, more than likely, for veterans. Definitely with the honor flight and everything. So with that, I'm going to try to be short on words and direct to the point. You more than deserve this Veterans of the Year. Thank you for everything you do for us, especially with everything else. And with that, I would like to be able to present you with this nice little certificate that we do for Veteran of the Year. And thank you so very much. We appreciate everything you do. Thank you.
Okay, next up, from Vet for Veterans, John Persimmon. Persimmon. It's spelled right on my phone. And Tony Tortolano. But before you come up, I just want to say that Tony is our outgoing Veteran of the Year, and he really stood up and met the challenge, and he was a great ambassador to all veterans on behalf of the city of Palmdale. You were truly amazing in your role. You were at all of our veteran community events. You represented well. We are very proud of you. And let's give him a huge round of applause as the outgoing Veteran of the Year.
If I can just add, Tony, this last weekend, we did the Homes for Families key ceremony.
The We Build.
The We Build.
Key ceremonies in August.
Key ceremony. But you're part of this process. And we delivered, as a part of the entire city family, we delivered a home to you. It's a debt of gratitude that we owe to you. And so I just want to acknowledge, like, on top of everything else that you do, you are part of building homes, building families, and it's the least that we can do to pay respect to the service that you offered our country. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. It's an honor to stand here next to you and proud to continue on this tradition. Tom Hilsendigger was able to start also with Jack and Kevin and John. And it just gives me the most humbling time to be able to present this to you for this year as an outgoing Veteran of the Year, for you to carry on the torch and tradition, to keep doing what you're doing. And I will also do the same. Just because my year's over, I will continue to do everything I can for veterans. He wants this, he's trying to fill the shoes.
I've got this filled, his shoes.
Yeah, hold on.
Hey Fred, my name is John. I'm with Vets for Veterans. It's an honor. Fred, Veteran of the Year, definitely deserve. And Tom would be, proud of you. I know he is. He's smiling down. He spoke very highly of you. Fred has also sat down and helped with hardships with our veterans. Not only he does everything that you've heard, but some of the stuff that he does, he's a big mentor to a lot of our younger veterans that are coming out and going through the hard time, whether it's homelessness, addiction, or anything like that. Fred's always got the veterans in mind. Running into a veteran, hey, let's bring him to Coffee for Vets or Vets for Veterans or somewhere so they can get some help. So thank you so much, Fred. I mean, you mean the world to us, and whenever, hey, Fred, good to see you. Hey, it's good to be seen, right? I love that. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
There's no one else, right? Got everybody? All right. Fred.
The floor is mine. Yay. Well, to say that I am honored is an understatement. I'll try and keep from breaking down. But it has been my pleasure to help those that need help that I can find that will accept help. Not everybody wants you to pat them on the back, pick them up, or feed them, or you have to find out what it is they want, what it is they need, and give that to them if you can. And there have been so many people that I've had the opportunity to send on the honor flight. Not ever heard anybody come back disappointed. I see Jonathan back there. He's one of the few that I've really got to know intimately early on. And just, if you see a veteran, say hi and ask them if there's anything they need. If there is, if it costs you $5, give them $5. I'll give you a card and you can mail it back. But I'm just deeply, deeply humbled and honored with this presentation. Thank you all ever so much.
All right, wonderful presentation. All right, at this time, we're going to take a brief 5 or 10 minute break. Let anyone clear out who wants to clear out, and then we're going to resume the meeting shortly. So please stand by. All right, and we're back. So, City Manager, are there any items to pull from tonight's agenda?
Not at this time.
Okay, seeing none. City Clerk, can you please play the public comment code of conduct and read the public participation statement into the record, please?
Ladies and gentlemen, may I please have your attention? The meeting of the Palmdale City Council is now in order. A code of conduct will now be read, and we request that you comply with it to ensure the efficient administration of the meeting. Members of the public, it is your right to participate in today's City Council meeting, and the Council encourages such participation. However, the right of the public to address the council must be balanced with the need to ensure that public comment does not interfere with the orderly course of the council's business. All are reminded to abide by the following rules. Speakers must cease speaking immediately when their time has ended. Public comment on agenda items must relate to the subject matter of that item. General public comment is limited to subjects within the jurisdiction of the council. Public comment does not include the right to engage in a dialogue with council members or staff. Please remain respectful of the forum and refrain from uttering, writing, or displaying profane, personal, threatening, derogatory, demeaning, or other abusive statements towards the council, any member thereof, staff, or any other person. Members of the audience should be respectful of the views expressed by speakers, staff, and council members, and may not excessively clap, cheer, whistle, or otherwise disrupt the orderly conduct of the meeting. Any person engaging in conduct that disrupts the meeting is subject to being removed from the council meeting. Finally, if you witness conduct or behavior by other members of the public that disrupts your ability to remain engaged or participate in this meeting, please notify city staff. Thank you for your cooperation.
All right, that takes us to item number 5, public comments.
Now is the time for public comments on Section 6, Consent Calendar, Section 12, Closed Session, and this is also including Section 8, which is the budget presentation. Now is the time for public comments.
Madam Clerk, do you have any speaker cards?
I have Mario Presents, item 8.1.
Hi, Maria.
We the taxpayers cannot afford to sustain bloated NPOs Multiple news outlets, nonprofits are making billions off of the border crisis. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, which funds nonprofits, has seen its budget swell from $1.8 billion to $6.3 billion in 3 years. Some services provided by these nonprofits or non-governmental agencies include pet therapy, horticulture therapy, legal assistance, and deportation defense, while their CEOs reap financial benefits. The Financial Action Task Force is an independent intergovernmental body that develops and promotes policies to protect all global financial systems against money laundering, terrorist financing, and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction by nonprofits. The FATF recommendations are recognized as the global anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing standard because nonprofits have little to no oversight. The FATF noted several cases where nonprofit organizations have been used for terrorist financing purposes over a decade, making oversight necessary element to protect the taxpayers from abuse. The diversion of funds is a significant risk in the context of anti-money laundering compliance. This refers to situations where individuals within the organization might divert donated funds during the financial process, potentially shifting funds to foreign partners or supporting terrorist entities. Can Salva account for the $325,000 in monetary assistance to families affected by COVID in 2020, or why $50,000 in day labor was spent when your food assistance bank only received about $13,000 in the same year? To mitigate the risk of fund diversion, NPOs should conduct audits on donations, beneficiaries, and internal transactions. This helps to ensure that funds are not being diverted for illicit activities or being used to finance terrorism. Transparent record keeping is a must, including documenting suspicious activity, transactions, financial records, and maintaining audit trails. Salva's 990 forms are public, and we can see how they've spent the money in the past. Until NPOs can ensure that all AML regulations are being met, I want the council to deny their application for any Measure AV money.
All right, next speaker.
I have no more speaker cards, Mayor.
All right. Oh, we have a couple more out there.
Can I ask a question? Since the public hasn't had the opportunity to see the budget presentation, are they gonna have an opportunity to ask questions after the budget presentation?
The item was attached at the time of distribution,
Okay.
so the item was attached.
Oh, so they've already seen the presentation then? Okay, thank you.
Okay. I believe their speaker cards are for, yes, so we'll take that as it comes. All right, so moving on from public comments, as there's nobody left to speak. Council members, would you like to pull any of the items from the consent calendar?
Move to approve the consent calendar.
All right, seeing none, I do need, before we move, I'm gonna pull 610. That is the agreement with Lamar. I'm gonna recuse myself for having done business with them within the last 12 months.
Move to approve the balance of the consent calendar.
Second. We have a motion and a second for the balance excluding 610. Gonna go ahead and vote in the computer. And post the results when done.
Start voting. Motion passes.
Okay, so I'm gonna toss the meeting over to Mayor Pro Tem Willa, and he'll take up that item, and I'll
Very
return.
well. We will then call 6.10, and unless there's any questions on this item by council members?
Have none?
Okay, there's a motion to approve
I'll second that motion.
and a second. Call for the question.
Start voting. Motion passes.
Thank you. We'll get the mayor back in here. Well done. It was very controversial.
They keep me in the green room back there. Okay, the moment half the room's been waiting for. 7-1, public hearing. City Clerk, can you please read the resolution of Title CC 2024-048?
Adopt resolution number CC 2024-048, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palmdale approving a form of density bonus agreement with Masons Palmdale Boulevard, 150 LLC to facilitate the construction of tentative track map 83359 located on the south side of Palmdale Boulevard between 50th Street East and 55th Street East. APN 3023-002-084.
Okay, at this time, we're going to open the public hearing, and we're going to receive a staff report if we need one. Do we have any further report from the city attorney about what we talked about last time?
Yeah, I went through the video. I'm not sure if it's tape or digital, whatever it is, the planning commission meeting, went through the full item. I did not find any evidence of mockery or laughing at the applicants, in fact, or the public. In fact, the staff had to spend more time asking the public not to shout from the audience, so it's sort of a reverse. The information presented by staff was correct. It was stated that the tentative track map, TTM, was final at the commission, and that the agreement, meaning the density bonus agreement, would go on to council and people could address that at the council meeting here. That being the case, there is no evidence that would support estoppel or any sort of alteration of both the tentative track map, which is vested because it wasn't appealed, and there's nothing in the record at all that would justify the statutory denial of the density bonus agreement as requested. My office and the applicant can perhaps address it, but their several law firms are all in agreement that every box has been checked, whatever you want to call it. There is no lawful way for the city to not accept the statutory agreement, and our recommendation is, despite it perhaps not being totally embraced by the community, state laws put us in a box, and you really need to move forward with an approval.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we're going to receive public testimony. So we're going to call for public comment for those who wish to speak. I know we have a few people, some speaker cards out there. Madam Clerk, do we have a...
We have Hunt Braley.
We'll defer our answer after.
Okay. We have Mario Presents.
Yeah, no, you can go. Oh, did they call him? Okay, yeah, sit back down. They called Mario.
You're good.
It's fine. She's already up there.
Okay, thanks. So my name is Jacqueline, and I previously talked to you guys, right exactly at the borderline of the Mason Apartments. And I hear what you guys are saying. I hear what they are, everything is pro the Mason Apartments, but what are we being offered? Like, what could you guys do for us as citizens and taxpayers? Because I hear everything against us. So what can you guys do to help us? I hear about them putting in a light because of traffic. What about us on Palmdale Boulevard and 55th? There's a lot of traffic and we didn't get a traffic light. Why not? We've been paying taxes. So what is the Mason Apartment? So what could they offer us? We've been asking to close off. We're not even asking to not build more. We're asking to close off our neighborhoods. Why can that not be done? Like, I don't understand. You guys haven't explained why not. So can somebody explain that to us?
Okay, thank you. We'll touch base on that later. We're just receiving comments. We're taking notes.
Okay, so we don't get an answer, basically. We just say what.
They're not allowed to engage in dialogue when they're up there.
But we're gonna discuss.
Okay, and then
after.
again, they said they're friendly to us. I've sent emails, no answer. You know, I keep on getting. I have one of their residents coming knocking on my house wanting to see my video cameras. Why? I feel threatened. They don't live there. I've asked him why, and I told him to call the cops. Why is he coming and walking around in my property? That's why we're asking for us to be closed off, because our privacy has been ripped from us. Thank you. I hope you take that into consideration.
Thank you. Mario.
I feel like the bad guy. Okay. I'm sure that many people were upset by Councilman Loa's words last week and the inability of the council to protect the community from an overreaching state of California. The law, established in 1967 as the Housing Element Law, maintains that every 8 years the state tells the city how many new homes they need to accommodate. City councils must zone for these sites as they have done on Palmdale Boulevard. Beverly Hills, a city with nearly unlimited resources, was forced to comply with this law in January. Judge Curtis A. Kinn blocked the city of Beverly Hills from issuing building permits except for the new residential permits in accordance with the state law governing affordable housing. How many here told their friends and family about their dissatisfaction with the addition of multi-unit housing? How many of you contacted your state assemblyman or senator about how you feel? Imagine now if the council decided to go the route of Beverly Hills. You won't be able to remodel your kitchen. You can't add a room or tear down a wall. How many contractors and construction workers will be affected in this community? All of them. Don't blame the council for complying with state law. Help them push back against the overreaching state by contacting your representatives. The Palmdale Freedom Coalition is designed to give people the tools they need to effectively communicate with legislators. Yelling at these 5 isn't going to help the situation, but I can show you what will. My name is Mario Presents, and I'm the information captain for the Palmdale Freedom Coalition.
All right, thank you.
Corrine Stevenson.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing?
Hey, getting called in a month early because we had until June 5th really put a damper on some of the things that I have in process. One is a land use attorney, and also my friend who's a local attorney is going through some records that I've obtained. And it's really unfair that we got called on Saturday to come to a meeting. I mean, it's nice that we were notified. Thank you. But a little premature. There's still things that we're digging through, and I understand things are going to be shoved down your guys' throats as they are down our throats. Just highly unfair. I don't know how much more I can say that, and I'm thankful to Eric. He is in our neighborhood, and I hope and pray that everybody who ever approved any of this gets that in their front yard. Thank you.
Ryan Stout.
She said enough. Whoever approves it, they can have it in their face.
Joel Stevenson.
Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here. It's a terrible thing that's been going on that's caused this to occur in our neighborhood. I mean, the whole situation of this being brought into our neighborhood, I would love to have all the veterans in my neighborhood. But this here, you're cramming and jamming people like sardines in a sardine can. What do you think's going to happen with our $500,000 homes on each side? And all these freebies in the middle. You got the haves and you got the have-nots. Well, what's going to happen? You're causing division. You got the haves that have worked their asses off to get what they want and live the rest of their lives, and you got the have-nots that are out to take for free. And so the haves have to pay for the have-nots. We spent our lives buying this home, and here we are. Actually, all these people here have spent their whole lives, their whole careers to invest in a place to live peacefully in harmony and the beauty and tranquility of the desert life. These trees that they are cutting down grow in 2 places only. That's here in the Antelope Valley and in Jerusalem, where Jesus walked. And it is a shame. You hear people crying out about climate change. Well, you're cutting down trees. Do you think that's going to change? And my wife has done a lot of research, and she hasn't had the time because you guys called us back in to do this all over again. And there are some things that people are getting kickbacks on. $490 here, $490 there, and it's all going to one address down below. We've got a lot of things we need to look into. People are getting paid, people are getting pats on the back, and it's not fair. We've worked our lives to have a little piece of property, and you're going to cram, and look right there, density bonus agreement? What do you mean? We don't have enough people here? There's plenty of land. Please, please.
All right, thank you.
Carly Galasso.
Hi. I'm neither the good guy nor am I the bad guy.
You provided a lot of good information back there. We did reach out to our senator. We did reach out to our governor's office. Nobody responded. I'm hearing what you say on repeat. I'm not here to tell you guys to vote no because at this point, they've already shoved it down your throat that it's a yes. What I'm here to ask is how do we work with the transportation department to block off our neighborhoods? So we get it. You're going to say yes, we're fine. We support that. Like we understand the need for additional housing. We understand all that. However, we would like to separate our neighborhoods. We're fine with them being in the middle. You guys are going to put a street light there. That's going to corner all that traffic out to that street light. They don't need to be connected to the surrounding neighborhoods. You can separate it. That will reduce traffic. That will reduce incidents. That will reduce a lot because of the amount of people you're putting in a small area. So if we separate out those with walls, fencing, whatever, those neighborhoods, you're going to control all that additional traffic because our neighborhood has 75 homes. And they've already put 171 behind us, an additional 191. You're putting more than triple what's in our neighborhood right behind, and you're feeding that traffic out into our neighborhood. They're telling us they're going to put a light in. Let them feed through that light. Let us separate our neighborhood. We're asking. I've sent emails. I'm asking, who do we contact to work with transportation? That development was there for 13 years where I live. Never had another outlet. The street, as you go in, still says no outlet. There is no reason that we shouldn't be able to block off our neighborhood. So that's what we're asking at this point. The builder asked me, how do we work in harmony? This is our ask. Our ask is simply to build a couple brick walls. It probably costs less than $8,000 to build some walls. Like that's all we're asking at this point. We're trying to let them have their build. We support their build. I've walked through the area. The housing area is nice. I don't have an issue with it. But we need to protect what we worked our lives for and what we built and why we moved into our communities for. So this is what we're asking for at this point. We're not asking for a no, we're asking for a slight division. That's all we're asking for.
We have the applicants.
Good evening again, third time. Hunt Brawley with Paul Shaffrey. Just going to make a few points and then call up Phil Ram with the applicant who can shed some additional light on the project. You received a letter today from one of our other counsel, Andrew Brady, which outlined specifically what is before you and the consequences if we don't get this finalized this evening. Number one, we have gotten our preliminary approval for our affordable housing bonds that will allow this project to be able to be built. But we have to make sure that there are not any further delays in us being able to go forward, put in our plans and get our building permits. So having any further delay, this being the third council meeting on an issue where your city attorney and even some of the public admits you have no discretion on, we meet all the density bonus requirements. That's the only thing up before you tonight. Not the approval of the track map because it was not appealed, so that's entitled. So the point we're making is time is of the essence for an approval this evening of the density bonus agreement so we can go forward and proceed with this project. Appreciate the comments that were made by members of the public about how good the existing project, which is our second in the city as you know, next to it looks. The issue that she raised about traffic is out of our control. We're just doing what we're told to do, put in the traffic light. That's a condition of our approval. Someone mentioned the juniper trees. We are Joshua trees, excuse me, Joshua trees. We have a mitigation that we must provide as part of our project. Has been approved by the state and the city of how those get mitigated. Again, just want to emphasize the urgency of having an approval this evening and a decision this evening. We believe it's a good project. It's our third. It will complement it. We'll provide needed housing in this community. It's well built. And I'd like to have Phil Ram come up and just say a few words. Thank you.
We never had a chance to appeal.
Good evening, Mayor Bishop, Mayor Pro Tem, Honorable Council, Councilmember Olson, good to see you again. My name is Phil Ram. I am the principal of Rival Holdings. We are the company who have currently built our first project on 65th and S. Also, we've just recently finished our project. Just 2 points that I'd like to bring to your attention.
Could you get closer to the microphone?
Of course, I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay. Is that a little better? Okay, okay, excellent. Just 2 points that I'd like to bring to your attention. Our current project that we've just completed is 170 units. On the marketing, we started out with just a banner. And from that banner, we received over 1,000 applications. 170 was selected, and that selection program is a very strict selection program. We have several layers of qualification. One of them also is employment. We like to see employment. We like to see how people can pay their rent and how they can maintain their lifestyle and provide for their families. It's very important for us to make sure that, you know, the families who live in our communities have access to quality, safe housing. I must emphasize, I'm very passionate about the design of our properties. I take it to heart what we build. We lose sleep over things like countertops and cabinets. We want to make sure that everything is provided that may be needed. I believe it's very critical for us to help families who formerly lived in, I'd say, vintage housing that was built in the 70s and 80s. And most of our community members for the current project we have, I think 75% of them, we did a little analysis, came from the city of Palmdale or the Antelope Valley. So these are our own residents that in reality, we're upgrading to newer homes and more up-to-date living standards. It's very important for me to provide things like a washer-dryer so that the moms don't have to go off-site to do their laundry. They can spend more time with the children. It's important for us to put in a gym. You know, we are providing homes for families who are on the lower income bracket, and sometimes they don't have a luxury of a gym membership. So it's important for us to provide that to them. We have after-school programs that we'll be putting into place, and you know, we will make sure that our communities, the promises that I can make to you is that, you know, our communities are very well designed. We have paseos, we have walkability. They are professionally managed. We have 24/7 a maintenance person in each one of our communities. We have a 24/7 resident manager who will make sure that the residents tend to their needs, and we want our communities to look as good in a year, 2 years, 5 years, in fact, maybe perhaps look better because the landscaping will come into bloom. We're passionate about what we do. We believe that California, I believe that we have a global affordability housing crisis. And you know, for me, I'm very passionate about trying to help people get on a social economic ladder where they don't have to worry about the welfare of their children, their families, and they can start climbing that ladder. Thank you very much for your attention and allowing me this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other speaker cards, Madam Clerk?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Anybody else wish to speak? Seeing none. All right, so at this time, we're going to close the public hearing. We're going to move on to council discussion. Council members, would you like to dig into this? Do you have any questions, any comments, anything?
Can we have staff come answer some of the questions that were posed about why we can't block off the streets, about the traffic light on
signals,
55th?
lights. What can we do?
Yeah, do we have staff that
The
can
Public
address those
Works.
questions?
I think Lynn's looking at Jay.
Jay. All right, here comes our traffic guy.
I'm Jay Nelson, the city trafficking manager. The street systems are designed so that we have access. The biggest problem we have in the city of Palmdale is high-speed roads where we have stop signs to access those. Even if it's 75 homes or 20 homes, when you have to pull from a stop onto a high-speed road, it increases the chances for severe and potentially fatal collisions. And so I cannot say whether we should block them off without looking at where those trips would be diverted to and back and forth. But connectivity from a safety perspective is typically better. It provides better emergency response time if one access is blocked. So when we're doing planning, we always want 2 access points to subdivisions. I can't get into specifics. I didn't hear any proposals before right now about blocking off one neighborhood to 3 neighborhoods. So we'd have to analyze that to give you a more concrete answer.
Okay. I understand that. I think, can we look at that?
We can look at it.
Also,
sure.
my question is, why was there never a light put on 55th with that answer that you gave, that coming from a stop on a high-speed route? That has been a very dangerous intersection. That is my neighborhood. I don't go that way. I go right on 55th to R, back up to 47th. I think that that is worth looking at. That is a dangerous intersection, and I hear that concern.
Are we able to get your contact information outside of the council meeting?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get you a card and we can continue this discussion, but I think that's the ultimate.
Just to back up a step.
Yeah.
To install traffic signals, we have to meet traffic signal warrants to comply with standards. And so you do need a certain amount of volume, and the city has hundreds of intersections where potentially you could put a signal. And so we want to prioritize and put those where they're needed the most. And we don't have unlimited budgets. And so developers typically help us build those signals. So when we know a new development's coming in, we condition them to pay for that signal. But the city does build signals as they're required, but we need to prioritize those in the best.
That's when they put the rubber
procedure.
cables on the road with the silver boxes on the side, and it tracks how much traffic goes by at what speed, how many cars per hour and stuff like that. So that's something we can at least do a study on. We can actually start looking into that and then assess the need of that intersection, because I feel like the discussion now is what are we gonna do to mitigate or at least make some concessions for this neighborhood?
You know, that's the dangerous road, most dangerous road. 138, I don't know, most dangerous road.
All right, anybody
No,
anybody else?
I want to just address some of the things that were brought up. Why you were called in early, we had to do that to protect the city. Because if we don't approve this, as you know, the city can be held liable because we're not following the state guidelines. If the state approved it and we jeopardized their funding mechanisms, we could be on the hook for that. And so you understand, I have to vote in a way that's the most financial responsible for the city. And that's what I'm going to do tonight, but we will continue to have conversations about what we can do to go forward.
Well said. Yeah, we appreciate the time and having everyone come back 3 times. We really have taken a look at this to see what can be done, what concessions can be made. It's difficult because we're in a rock and a hard place. I've looked at every way we could get out of this, even by abstaining or just not voting on it, but the attorney is, every time we go back, the attorney repeatedly tells us that this is just something we can't do. And even today, we received a letter that says if we delay it any further, there could be financial repercussions not only for the city, but for the developer, which would fall on us.
Right. And just one last thing. I do also appreciate the developer. I've met with him a couple times to let him know my concerns. My concerns were the same as yours early, that I wanted to see more market value housing. He was willing to bring that to the table. It was our fault because we hadn't passed our VMT, which is another state standard that we have to meet. The Joshua Trees is a trailer bill that was presented by the governor last year, so the mitigation is done under wildlife, not the city of Palmdale, state of California again. But when I met with them and told them my concerns, they heard me. I believe they heard me. I went with my family to the neighborhood. I did see a car cut through your neighborhood speeding and went to his house. I brought it up with the developer, and he had several recommendations of how he's going to mitigate that. So he has been responsive to my concerns. So what I can just say is, as you have more coming forward, email me, and I will have conversations with him because he has been receptive. I don't want you to think that that hasn't been appreciated. And I don't want you to think that you haven't been appreciated. We're doing what we need to do, and we'll continue to have conversations, because really that's the best way forward in anything is communication. Sorry, can't. Sorry.
Sorry. City Attorney, would it be appropriate if I asked the developer if he would be willing to agree to a study at that corner, just a traffic study?
What do you mean by that?
To measure the
Are you
traffic.
asking them to fund it, or they will cooperate?
See if they'll cooperate or even fund a traffic study?
You can certainly ask them. Jay, has there been prior traffic analysis that picked that up?
55th and Palmdale.
We can save you the time because when you approve this, they're gonna put in the traffic signal one block over, so it's not necessary. Exactly, it'll be at 50 seconds. So it will not be necessary.
Okay, let's hear from Jay.
So we depends on the size of the development. We require traffic studies for level of service if they generate over 110 daily trips. And so that typically has to be a development, but that has it's typically 10 trips per home on average. The issue is because of the ADU and junior ADU, we are not allowed to look at those as in the traffic analysis. So the size of the project then is small enough that it doesn't require a traffic study. So we have not done any study to look at separating the neighborhoods.
Okay.
Yeah, we asked. Well, so there you go. The traffic light is already going up. It's one block over. They cut through your neighborhood to get their houses. Now you're going to cut through their neighborhood to get to the light.
Okay. Is that something that the developer would be amicable to? Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Do we have any more discussion on this or questions or comments?
I'd like to make a comment. I hope and expect that the applicant here, the developer, appreciates our concern that I think is shared by all the council, that we have to look at an item when issues are brought forth. I believe that it's appropriate to hear out the community. That's part of the due process. And it was not intended to unduly delay the project, but rather to make sure that the issues that were being brought by the people that are affected by it directly had a moment to have their say. There were questions that were raised in terms of the conduct of the Planning Commission. We are, well, I can say that I am confident that the city attorney has appropriately viewed the Planning Commission meeting and the action that took place there. So I'm satisfied that whatever is required by the density bonus law was complied with by the Planning Commission. But I hope that everyone understands, excuse me, that we want to make sure that everyone is heard. Sometimes we have to take actions that are not necessarily what the community might want or what an applicant might want, but we make the decision that we have to. And I thank the community for coming out as well and voicing the concerns, and to the applicant as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Councilmember Bettencourt, do you have any questions, comments?
No, I am sympathetic to the density issues. It can happen to any neighborhood, anywhere. And how do I know that? Because I have a house behind me. We share a fence, a cheap wooden fence, and they have literally cut the house in half and are making it into two separate buildings for two separate families, maybe more than two per section. And honestly, I did not know you can cut a house in half in Palmdale, but apparently you can. So not just for your neighborhood, but for everyone's neighborhood, Gavin Newsom's coming for you. He's going to put people in your backyard that you may not want there and that you can't get rid of once they're there. I'm not saying that bad people are going into any neighborhoods, but be very careful how you vote come next November, and pay attention to the ballot measures that you're voting on. Read between the lines when they ask you to approve something, because this could not have been done without approval. So please be very careful. And like I said, you think you're in a community with single family houses, and now I'm in a community right? Literally sharing a wooden fence with multiple families behind me. And it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. So it can happen to anyone, anywhere, in any neighborhood. And I was just hoping it's veterans and seniors living there and not a bunch of party animals from college, because I'm too old for that, let's be honest. So yes, I feel your pain. I really do.
Okay, I think we're ready to entertain a motion or more discussion if the council so chooses.
Go ahead. You want to move?
I make a motion to approve this because we got to get it over with.
All right, we have a motion. I'll go ahead and make a second.
Call for vote.
So let's go ahead and call for the vote.
We don't have a choice.
Start voting. Motion passes.
All right, thank you. And we're going to be looking forward to that traffic study. I appreciate everyone coming out and voicing their opinions, and we look forward to continued dialogue. Okay. Item number 8.1, this is going to be the joint budget workshop presentation for our city council, our housing authority, our public finance authority, airport authority, and so on. We'll give a minute for the room to clear out, and then we'll go into a presentation.
Oh, really? I love
As ready as we'll ever be. Here we go.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and Commissioners. Tonight, we will be introducing the fiscal year 24-25 budget before you. This is the first reading and the first introduction of our upcoming fiscal year budget. This will actually be before you. There's no action item to take this evening. Other than to present this item to you, you will take action at the June 26th meeting. We have approximately 6 weeks to go back through the budget, take all of the feedback from this evening, and incorporate it as you best recommend and see fit. A couple items of note before I introduce our Director of Operations, Janelle Sampson, to give you all of the specific details. I am proud to announce that we show a 5-year projection in the black in the city of Palmdale. If for anybody that pays attention to cities, 95% of cities show a 5-year projection in the red. That's just a function of how cities work. Expenditures tend to outpace revenues. That is just the nature of our business. The majority of what we bring in here in the city of Palmdale is through sales tax and property tax. And so in years that those are uncertain, that's where you can see that will have the most impact on your revenues and your expenses. So through this budgeting process, we did something a little bit different this year. We engaged a surveying firm that reached out to registered voters throughout the city of Palmdale, 550 of them approximately, to really find out what the citizens are seeking out of the council and out of our budgeting process. The results of that survey, which is considered statistically sound, reported that infrastructure is one of our top concerns with our community, primarily streets and potholes, as well as an investment in parks and green spaces, and public safety to include crime, gang activity, vandalism, and graffiti. So that's where and how we really informed this budget and how we have, you'll see in a few minutes through the slides, how we've attempted to build the budget for the following year. One caveat that I'd like to call out is that Governor Newsom just presented his May revise of the state budget, which predicts a significant budget shortfall. We have not incorporated any of those concerns or cuts into our budget at this time. We did not see anything that said that they were coming after the cities per se for any of to claw anything back or to take any of our anticipated revenues. So with that, I'm going to introduce Janelle to come up here and go through all the numbers.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Council, Commissioners. Janelle Sampson, Director of Operations. And I'll be going through all the numbers. I know there's a lot, so I will be pausing frequently for questions, or please feel free to interrupt me. On this first slide here, we're going to walk through our citywide budget summary. This is a very high level presentation. This includes our general fund, our special revenue funds, as well as our capital improvement program. On this slide, you'll see that revenues are projected to increase from fiscal 24 projections by $103 million for total anticipated revenues in fiscal 25 of $528 million. Expenditures are projected to increase as well by approximately $122 million for a total anticipated expenditures of $566 million. The bottom line here is across all funds, which includes our general fund and the special revenue funds as well as CIP, we are anticipating an estimated ending fund balance of $266.1 million. So we are still in a very positive position there. Any questions on this slide?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. This next slide is an overview of our general fund budget. And this breaks down our beginning balance. We did have an ending audited balance for fiscal 23 that falls into our beginning balance, or for fiscal 24 we had $92.5 million in beginning balance. That is our starting point for our projection here. So what we're anticipating is our fiscal 24 projection to have an estimated ending fund balance of $16.5 million. That is after reserves, restrictions, and unspendable funds, which would be deposits or liabilities. So that will drive us into fiscal 25 with a beginning fund balance estimated at $84.6 million. Our revenues are anticipated to decrease by $1.4 million for a total of $117.1 million. Expenditures are anticipated to decrease by $3 million for a total of $123.4. And while you will see on this slide before you a deficit of 6.2 in the general fund, this is due to one-time expenditures that are anticipated in fiscal 25. Without those one-time expenditures, the general fund is in balance. Are there any questions?
Oh, there will be.
Okay. On the next couple slides, we'll dig into the general fund in a little more detail at a categorical level. The thing to note here, the reserve requirement, we're ending fiscal 25 at 78.3 fund balance. That's before the reserve and restrictions. Our reserve is proposed here at $37 million, which represents a 30% reserve. Our policy calls for a 20% reserve, but we do strive for that 30%. This next slide here is a detailed breakdown of general fund revenues by category level. So I'll call out a few. If I don't touch on something and you do have questions, please let me know. Our property tax and sales tax, as Rhonda mentioned, are the primary drivers of revenue in the city. We're estimating property tax to increase by approximately 5% and sales tax to increase by approximately 2%. We do work closely with our sales tax and property tax consultants at HDL to project these numbers. We meet on a quarterly basis and review in detail the trends and how we're doing. So we do reproject those as needed throughout the year. Franchise fees, there is a large increase projected before you of 112% or $9.1 million. That is the result of a prepayment of franchise fees as a result of a waste management amendment to an agreement that was recently approved by the council. So that is a one-time spike. It will come down. Other revenue is another one proposed to decrease by 12%. We did have a large amount of other revenue in fiscal '24, and that was the result of a land sale that the city had. And fiscal '25, we are proposing to bring that down slightly. There are some anticipated transactions that could result in additional other revenue in fiscal '25, but those are not solidified at this point.
I do have a question on that.
Of
I do
course.
too when you're done. We're ready.
All right, the last one I wanted to call out on this slide here is our transfers in. So transfers in show a significant decrease from fiscal '24 to '25. This is primarily the result of transferring a large amount into the city's self-insured health and liability funds as a result of lawsuits that had been settled in the prior year. So that's the reason for that. I'm ready for any questions.
Okay, so, do you want to go first?
No, you go first.
Okay. I'm just curious as to why license and permits are decreasing by 9% projected for 2025. What's the reason that you're projecting that way?
Of course. Licenses and permits are development-based fees, and those fluctuate based on the year and the activity. In addition to that, the city did adopt ordinance number 1612 in January of 2024, which streamlined our business permits, and that is a result of that. Our attempt was to be more business-friendly and streamline those. However, there was slight budget implications to that.
Is it subject to change? I mean, could the expectation be different and actually have an increase or stay the same?
It is always subject to change, and we do review throughout the year. We'll look again at our mid-year budget, and if there are changes projected or if activity increases and those numbers go up, we will adjust at that time.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a question and a comment. I'll start with the comment first. Under property tax, when you said that you expect to have, there'll be a 5% increase, I just want those that are watching not to panic. That doesn't mean your personal property tax is going to go up by 5%. That's not what they're saying. They're saying overall, in general, with new houses, new properties being acquired, reassessments, the city's budget will increase 5%, but your property tax may not increase 5%, so don't panic. Am I right on that?
You are correct.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure that people understand that. Secondly, the sales and use tax is up 2%. This is where I'm going to beg our residents to please shop at home. Please keep your money local. And my question is, do we get sales tax when people purchase online? Like, are the big Amazon companies giving us our share of the action? I know that they've been trying to pass legislation to make that happen, but is it really happening, and are we getting our fair share?
Most of the online sales go through the county pool, and we get a portion of that. If we actually shop local in our local retailers, that comes back to the city full.
There is current legislation pending to make sales tax at point of delivery.
Okay.
That would be a huge win for us.
That would
because
be very important.
I do know for a fact we're losing a lot of sales tax to online retailers.
So Eric, if you can share the proposed upcoming bills on that, we'll be glad to call our legislature and let them know how interested we are in that.
No.
Anything else before I move on?
We're good.
All right, this next slide here breaks down our general fund expenditures that are proposed by category as well. So a few lines I'll highlight, and again, if you have questions, please interrupt me. First, salaries and benefits, the very top line, are proposed to increase by 10%, or $2.7 million in fiscal '25. This is not a 10% increase for employees. I just want to be clear that salaries and benefits fiscal '24 projections have been adjusted to account for any vacant positions, so we have reduced that. We are anticipating to fully staff those positions in the next year. What we do propose in that number, though, is a 3% wage increase, which is consistent with our bargaining unit MOU. So that is in that number. The next item I would like to point out here is our contract services. So contract services here is proposed to increase by 24%, or $4.3 million. There are several items that make that up. A lot of it is due to inflation. As of April, year over year, inflation is at roughly 4%. But some of the large contracts there to point out are our landscape maintenance contracts, our library contract, custodial services, our concert series and special events, our city attorney services, and private security. So there are quite a few contracts in there that make that up. The next item here, county contracts. County contracts is our sheriff's contract, our animal care and control contract, as well as the liability portion of the sheriff's contract. So for fiscal 25, it is proposed that there is a 3.6% increase in the sheriff contract. The liability portion is going up from 12% to 12.5%, and that is reflected here. Again, this is general fund only. I do want to point out that the overall sheriff's contract is split between Measure AV and the general fund. So what you see here is just a portion of it. The other portion you'll see on a later slide. Animal care and control is increasing by $930,000 in fiscal 25 as a result of the trends in actual experiences. So that's reflected here. Any questions so far?
Yeah, the operating, just point out with the operating, why there's a 38% decrease in that line.
Of course. Yes, we are showing an $8.1 million decrease in operating. This is largely due to a spike in fiscal 24 due to lawsuit settlements that were paid out. So that's the main driver of that. Mm-hmm.
So obviously then that's not reflected in 25 projections.
It is not.
Okay.
We, that would be unknown at this
It
point.
doesn't mean that we're reducing the expense of operating the city by that amount.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No. And I do want to point out also, although it is shown here in operating, we would have in certain cases an offsetting revenue from insurance proceeds to offset that where we do receive insurance for some of those settlement cases.
Just sometimes the numbers are a little all over the place because we do things in one fiscal year, which ends in the middle of the year, and then it takes place in the next fiscal year, and we have
Correct.
large swing numbers like that.
Yes.
And the capital line, is that reflecting the waste management agreement with that increase? Or
So the capital expenditure line, the increase of 5.1, this is primarily due to a $6 million payment, one-time payment to the AV Fair.
no, I'm talking about the capital. Where's the 237% increase?
That is correct. That's a capital expenditure.
Okay.
Correct. It's not a CIP project, but it is a capital expenditure.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Is that for the Mark Center?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And lastly, transfers out. Transfers out show a decrease of 41% or 10.5 million. Again, this is where you'll see in fiscal 24 we had transfers between our general fund and our self-insured fund. That's representative of our legal settlement payments. Any other questions on this slide before I move on? All right, Measure AV. The slide before you is a high level of Measure AV broken down by category. We are anticipating revenues, Measure AV sales tax revenues of $22.8 million in fiscal 25. Very slight increase from fiscal 24, the 2% that we anticipated in the city as well. Public safety, we are proposing $10 million in public safety, an increase of 578. What's reflected here is that same increase in the sheriff's contract that the general fund experienced is also here. So as I was saying, it's split between the two. The overall sheriff contract is about $32 million and split between these two funds. The next section, the beautification infrastructure and CIP. There's an increase presented here of 4.3 million or 24%. Several items in here to note. A $6.3 million investment towards McAdam Park renovation and 3.2 for field lighting at Dominic Massari. So I know those are items that we've talked about previously. If you'd like any additional detail, I could provide more. Otherwise, moving on to community programs, $2 million towards community programs. This covers our community events, recreation, culture, legacy commons at $417,000 and about $450 towards saves, as well as some recreation scholarships and $150,000 towards in-house programs. So happy to provide more information on those should you require that. Economic development proposed at $1.7 million for fiscal 25. That is an increase over the 520 from last year, and what's included there is some funds for property acquisition and entitlement. This would be some tax sale properties of about 500,000, aerospace incentive, auto mall partnership. Those are some of the items in there. Overall, Measure AV expenditures total $36.1 million. We do have a 10% reserve requirement in Measure AV per our policy, and after that 10% reserve, we would be ending at a very small $1,445. So, yes.
So we're very aggressive in the way we're spending the Measure AV money. And it looks like still the biggest part of it is public safety, law enforcement.
I think the largest
next
portion
to
here is the
But
infrastructure
largest
and capital.
improvements next to that, or the largest expenditures year over year, it looks like it's still gonna be public safety, because every year it looks like it goes up just that much.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, any other questions on Measure AV? No. All right, this next slide goes over the American Rescue Plan Act funds. ARPA funds were one-time funds allocated to the city back in 2021. We did receive our funds in 2022 and 23 of $35.4 million. Per the U.S. Treasury, all funds must be committed, encumbered in contracts by December of 2024 and fully spent by December of 2026. So what's presented in this budget through 2025 are amounts that will be encumbered by December 2024, and we have fully allocated ARPA funds per this proposed budget. Some of the key projects here in the public health and safety line, there is $2.1 million towards mental health partnerships. This is an ongoing, it's an ongoing allocation that was allocated in fiscal 24 that will carry forward. We do anticipate that will be fully encumbered by December. We also have a $1.9 million amount for our emergency operations center. So same there. Under the services to disproportionately impacted communities, we have funds allocated here towards our public park projects, which include Corson and McAdams, as well as library services and funds towards the operation of saves. Under revenue replacement, there is 250,000 allocated. I was looking at the wrong column for fiscal 25. And what this is, these are for park improvements for the Best of the West over at Marie Kerr. We also have 1.25 million allocated in fiscal 24 that we are currently working towards encumbering for records digitization for our city clerk's department, so that will carry forward. So with that, we do anticipate all ARPA funds will be fully allocated and spent in the time prescribed by U.S.
So
Treasury.
if we don't spend it, we have to give it back, right?
That is correct.
Okay, just want to make sure.
We're usually pretty good at spending money. Yeah.
All right, any questions?
The 2.1 for mental health, that is what being put out on the RFP?
Yes, that is correct. And we anticipate releasing that RFP within the next 1 to 2 weeks at most.
Thank you.
And for those that don't know, RFP is request for proposal for people that want to participate or provide services for this mental health issue.
And since that's being called out, that all originated because of a condition that I believe affects many families in Antelope Valley and Palmdale in particular, where due to the definitions of under 5150, for example, of a mental condition, many families that have someone in the home that doesn't quite meet the 5150 criteria, yet that person is either staying in the home, continuing to cause issues and possible risk, or having the family make a choice to have that person become homeless. And I believe that we can fill that gap by providing a very particular service to assist those families and to assist the individual that is suffering from the mental health. And that's been the idea from the very beginning when it was adopted.
Yeah, I think it's a wise choice, use of those funds.
I agree, and but for the grace of God go I. You can be really having a good day one day, and the next day your life crashes, and you need to have support. And I think this is extremely important. And I want to work with this council, with the city staff, in seeing that mental health is addressed, so that we and our families that need it can get help.
Give credit to the Mayor Pro Tem for insisting that some of that ARPA money, that $2.1 million, be specifically allocated to the mental health. Thank you. One quick question. Besides that $2.1 million, did I miss it? Is there anything else that's not currently specified or allocated?
So we have buckets of money, like similar to what she just mentioned on the Measure AV slide, where we have community investment programs.
Sorry.
Are you speaking
I'm
specifically
speaking
about ARPA?
purely ARPA, so we don't lose a dime of it.
We will not lose a dime of it, sir.
We have every last dollar allocated.
That was the question.
You see that zero at the bottom right
Yeah,
there?
under the penny.
Want to make sure you see it.
Yeah, we don't want to give any of it back.
If you ask my husband, I never give money back, so don't worry.
Well, we're in good hands then.
All right, if there are no further questions, I'll move on. This next slide here goes over other funds. These are transportation funds primarily. These are a very large part of our budget. Our transportation funds, gas tax, Prop A, Prop C, Article 3, Article 8, and Measure R, Measure M. So I won't go through every item here, but I'll point out some of the large items. And again, you will also see this on the next slide under our capital improvement program. One of the large ones here to point out is Measure R. You'll see $95.9 million allocated in 2025. That's primarily due to Measure R grants that the city received back in 2012, and we're currently in the process of moving forward with those multi-year projects.
Wait, was that a federal grant or a state grant?
Those were...
I only asked because the state of California is in dire straits. I'm afraid they're going to try and claw that money back if it's a state grant. So I hope we can protect ourselves.
Their Measure R appropriations.
They're through Metro and State.
Metro.
They are state?
Metro and State.
Okay. If we can really try to protect ourselves, make sure they don't claw that back from us, that would be great.
From what we know at this point, because they've already been allocated to us, they're not in jeopardy. However, we will look into that further before the June 26th meeting.
And several of those dollars are already committed through the Palmdale Boulevard, Avenue 14 interchange, and also our repavement program. So those projects are underway. You authorized those via contract in the last couple of meetings.
So in the news lately is an announcement that fossil fuel emissions gas tax is going to actually begin to increase rather quickly beginning next year. Something like 47 cents a gallon on top of the gas tax. And then subsequently it's going to increase until it gets to about $1.15, I believe, by 2028, 2029, which is really right around the corner. So, and I may be misunderstanding this, but the gas tax fund, would that be affected by those increases? Is any of that money going to go to local government once that starts kicking in?
I am not aware at this point. We will definitely look into that though.
Okay, because it's coming in next year. 47 cents a gallon, on top of what you already pay.
Those funds usually come through the county or the state? The county?
They come through Metro and the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah, we should definitely look into that.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. The other item here to point out, Prop A, you'll see jumps from 7.5 million in fiscal '24 up to 11.9 in fiscal '25. There's a few big projects there that will also go through on CIP, such as Marie Kerr Park and Ride, citywide security and our Avenue RITS projects. So there's some large projects there. Are there any other questions on this slide before I move to CIP? I'll cover quite a few of the same things on the next slide. All right, the capital improvement program here, this slide is broken down by project type. So you'll see some bicycle and pedestrian projects, drainage facilities, as well as streets, traffic, and so on. So I'll go through a few of these, and if you have questions, let me know. Streets makes up approximately 63% of our CIP budget. And within that are those same Measure R projects that I just mentioned are also included there. So that's the majority of that. There's also several other street resurfacing projects, county pavement, interchange improvements, and so on. Facility improvements, there's a jump here from 3 million up to 10 million in fiscal '25 in facilities. A big majority of that is the EOC relocation. The capital improvement projects, I'm going to back up for a minute, come from a variety of funding sources. So this includes all of those funding sources. So that city facilities EOC relocation, there are ARPA funds that go into that. There's also an earmark of $1.3 million the city received that goes into that. So
Is the EOC relocation the mark?
that is not, this is the city's emergency operations center that's currently housed in this building that we're looking to expand over into
Okay,
the other building.
I want to make sure I separated the two. Thank you.
Yes. We also have in here in the facilities money for design for the Chimboli as well as library in the north end of this building. So that's in here, as well as about 1.25 million towards our citywide security project and continuing phase 1 and then moving towards phase 2 of our security project. All right. I think our drainage, I did want to go through drainage. There's a pretty big jump in drainage, 365,000 last year up to 7.8 million this year. Several projects in there, one of them being the Amargosa Creek Upper Recharge Project, as well as a Oasis Park Basin upgrade. So that makes up the majority of that. Are there any specific questions that we can answer at this time?
Could you explain traffic?
Oh.
And the reason I ask that is, you know, if anybody's been paying attention to the news lately, there's been a lot of traffic issues, a lot of speeding issues, and multiple fatalities within our community. And I'm hoping that what you've got proposed for traffic here will somehow help mitigate some of the problems that we're having. I could be totally wrong.
I may have to defer to our CIP team. However, what I've noted in traffic here, 6.5 million of this amount of the 8.4 that's proposed here is for citywide signal modifications, and about 1.7 is for traffic signal over at Technology Drive and 3rd Street East. So that makes up the majority of these funds.
And I would just add that a large portion of that is our Highway Safety Improvement Program grant that we received, which will modify our signals and hopefully help us there in some ways.
All right, any other questions here? All right, nearing the end. The next slide here discusses our personnel request, and what we're proposing here this evening is to add a total of 3 new full-time positions. One of them being an office assistant in the Neighborhood Services Housing Division. That is funded by the Housing Asset Funds. And we have 2 proposed maintenance. In maintenance, there is a maintenance lead worker and a maintenance specialist. And one of those would be funded through landscape maintenance funds, the other through Measure AV. What's proposed here has already been incorporated into the numbers that were before you for Measure AV and the other funding sources. So. Any questions?
One thing I didn't see, and maybe I missed it, but Measure H money regarding the homeless, I didn't see it called out specifically in these.
So Measure H money is included in our operating, and I did outline it in the staff report. I can go into a little bit of detail here. Measure H is a quarter-cent sales tax that's collected by the county. The county collects approximately $5.7 million annually from City of Palmdale residents. And what they then do is allocate a portion of those monies back to the city. The allocation for fiscal 24-25 is anticipated to be $568,000.
So we send $5.7 million in that quarter cent tax, and we get back about $570,000. So it's a 90%. I don't know what the figures are exactly, but it's a huge bonus to the rest of the county, and that's our purpose in the Blue Ribbon Commission, which I thank the council for allowing me to be on that commission. But we're concerned about resources to deal in a humane way with the unhoused issue, which is becoming greater and greater as time goes on. I mean, you can see it on the streets, you can see it in the fields, you can see it out in the desert. And I have a concern that perhaps the manner in which the unhoused are counted in, let's just say down below, as opposed to here with our large swaths of open land, may not be correct. And I'm hoping that we'll get a real definition on how we count the unhoused here in Antelope Valley. I think the methodology has to be different. It may require drones or something to fly over these areas to identify people that are out there that may go uncounted, and therefore our count might actually be greater than what we believe, than what the count is being told is in existence for us.
Well, we've always been told that we don't get our fair share. We know that. For us to pay, from our residents over $5 million to the county, and we're not even getting half that back. I can hear Jason Zink's voice in my ear because he's the rallying champion of get our fair share, and he's right. We're giving them millions and millions of dollars, and that money should be spent on Antelope Valley residents. And I hope that we can find a creative way one day somehow to get that money back. Our residents are paying for that, and we're not getting what I think is our fair share back. I don't know what the county's doing with that money. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Central Los Angeles, do you know what the number is that they receive per unhoused as opposed to what we get here?
1 second, I can pull it up.
That's always been the discussion since I've been on council, is that we definitely, and when it comes to any tax coming from the county, we're not getting our fair share, and that's why it's so important to advocate. A long time ago, I was told that we get 16 to 18% back on our sales tax, or the general taxes is somewhere around there. So, but I know we have a partnership with them. They provide a lot of other stuff, and they provide a lot of other funding, but that should never stop us as elected officials from advocating to get every piece of tax money that we can possibly get for the city. Because every dollar counts.
So we are defined as SPA 1 here in the Antelope Valley, including unincorporated LA County, Lancaster, and Palmdale. On average, we receive back $277 versus Metro Los Angeles is $4,329 per individual.
That's a huge disparity. I mean, really, it's an enormous disparity, and that's what I want to advocate there, that we need to have a greater proportion. I think Santa Clarita is also in SPA 1, is it not?
They are in SPA 2, but they are in a similar situation as far as the return on investment.
Right, and they're part of North County.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so in any event, I'd like to see Measure H highlighted in some fashion in the budget, and to show that disparity if possible. I mean, it's just simply something that we need to advocate for in the strongest terms to get more. I'm not saying that we should get 100% of the money that we send down. Because I understand that the severity of homelessness in Los Angeles and down below is more palpable, it's more visible. The human pain is greater. You can see it when you go down through the streets there. The conditions, the garbage, the filth, and so on is much greater there than it is here. And obviously, more resources have to be applied to that. But that doesn't mean that our needs are being completely met, and that's the point I'm trying to make.
I would like to mention as well that Measure 8 expires in 2026. It was a 10-year quarter-cent sales tax, and so should there be a desire to continue that, I believe the City Council has already in the past been very vocal about the fact that we would only support something like that if it's a greater share to come back to us. So we will take that action item and move forward with that.
Well, plus
from that
plus
perspective.
I would like to see some evidence-based modeling. I want to see some success stories coming out of the programs that they're throwing all this money at. Where's the success? What have they done? Are they doing things that actually work? And I think nationwide that's a problem. You give organizations a ton of money and then you don't see results. You see more people on Skid Row. You see more people living in tents. So I'm not barking at you. I'm just making a point that you can't just keep giving money and not having successes. They can't possibly think we're going to continue a program with millions and millions of dollars when they're only increasing the homeless crisis and the mental health crisis, and they're not helping. So we need to have a real come together conversation about Measure H when the time comes.
No, you're absolutely right, council member, because that's what the general public sees. They drive around and they see the problem getting worse and not really getting resolved. And it's not that we're not helping people or people aren't being helped. It's that there's more and more people needing help and there's not enough resources. But thank you for bringing that up, Mayor Pro Tem, because shedding some light on it is definitely going to help us hopefully get some more of those resources that are deserved or really owed to us, especially in this last couple years while we have Measure H. Try to make the most of it and see how much more we can get.
We're not asking for anything other than our fair share. This is money we've already paid to them. We just want some of it back for our community.
When you hear such a large gap in numbers, it's hard not to feel that's unequitable, because that's a big difference between what we're getting and what they're getting. All right.
Thanks, Janelle, sorry.
That's my presentation.
Well, we ready for more discussion? We have some housing commissioners. No?
There'll be more opportunity to discuss this as we move forward, and we've been meeting with you in the briefings. It's been very illuminative, and I thank you and Randa and the rest of you staff that are helping us. This is a complex thing, and I'm amazed always at how you can put all of this together. These numbers are mind-numbing, and I commend you and your staff, as well as our city manager and her staff.
And this is the first of many, of what, this is the first reading of the budget?
Yes, this is just the first
And
introduction.
so this is our attempt to be as transparent with the public as possible, to let them know what we're doing with the budget every step of the way. So that nobody feels like we're hiding anything from them. We're open to suggestions. We want to hear what the public thinks after this. So you can contact Rhonda.
Thanks.
Just kidding.
No, this will be back before you for official adoption on June 26th.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Janelle.
Thank you.
Great job.
We appreciate it, and I personally appreciate you making sense of a $500 million plus annual budget and helping explain it to the community, so thank you very much.
That was a great presentation.
Yeah, no, thank you. Okay. Go back here. So that takes us to item number 9, City Manager's Report. You got good stuff for
evening.
us?
Again, yes, Mayor
All
and
right.
Council, I am excited to just continue to report on our farmers market. It has been so well received by the community. It's just a lovely location, and it's really reflective, I think, of the fabric of our community, everybody getting out there and having a good time and enjoying the weather and recreating together. So great job to the Parks and Rec team for pulling that off, and it's been a great success. This Saturday, we will celebrate the High Desert Beer and Wine Festival at the Palmdale Amphitheater. Tickets must be purchased in advance, so please go online to grab those before it's too late. And also wanted to call out at the last meeting, council requested a letter to Caltrans and also a CC to the CHP regarding highway safety on Pear Blossom. That was issued and signed by the mayor yesterday, and you all received a copy of it via email. We've already received contact from Caltrans via email and via phone call to set up a coalition to start addressing some of your concerns. And last but not least, tip our hat to the aerospace industry that so many people here in the Antelope Valley have grown up in. Yesterday was the last flight of the DC-8. It circled around and went up north, and then it's leaving the state and going to become a trainer. They're going to take it apart and put it back together and see what it can be, but that was a historic flight for us yesterday from NASA as they wind down operations at Plant 42. So just wanted to call your attention to that. We appreciate everybody that worked on that program. That doesn't mean that there's sadness at Plant 42. They are growing leaps and bounds, and that X-59 I think is going to be the next one that we see flying around in the sky pretty soon. So thank you.
You won't hear it though, right?
Allegedly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Item number 10, council reports, announcements, requests for future agenda items. Council?
Well, so since I'm at this end, I guess I'm gonna just jump on in there.
Go.
So I would like to see if we could have a roundtable, maybe a combined public town hall meeting regarding the mental health of our community, regarding what we can do as medical health practitioners, residents, anybody who wants to get involved in improving the mental health of our community. Maybe we can have a roundtable conversation about what's needed and what we can and can't do. Also, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank everybody that came out to the We Build Veterans Housing Build over the weekend. It was a great event, a lot of people there. It was nice to see Kaiser Permanente, and I just want to thank Kaiser because they have a group of volunteers that go around from event to event with the city. I see them at city events constantly volunteering their time. And if Kaiser's listening, I just want to say thank you to them for always having a team at many, many events in the city of Palmdale. And today I want to also thank the Holiday Inn. Today the Holiday Inn did a grab and go lunch for first responders, sheriffs, firemen, ambulance people. It was just a nice, kind thing for them to do, and it's nice when businesses reach out to recognize our first responders, and I want to thank Holiday Inn for doing that. That was really, really nice. That's all.
I think I'm fine.
Okay. Eric?
I just want to say again, congratulations to Fred Barthay, our Veteran of the Year, and to thank Tony Tortolano as our outgoing Veteran of the Year. And then a reminder, on the 27th is our Memorial Day celebration at Ponce Square.
Okay.
All right. Briefly, I'll just touch base. Just want to still put a bug on staff's ear. Safe driving campaign. Maybe something we work towards. Lots of car accidents out there. Anything we can do.
So we actually met yesterday, and we have put a couple of PSAs out, if you will, but we talked about an expanded program through billboards, buses, advertising, radio, things like that, to just slow down and arrive alive, for lack of a better phrase. So we are working diligently on that, along with the Sheriff's Department, who's doing increased speed, what is that called? I don't want to call it, thank you, that's the word I want. I didn't want to say traps, but speed enforcement. And we're also going to be deploying some of the radar machines and things like that around, just the ones that kind of let you know how fast you're going. So definitely underway.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
and on that, can I just maybe recommend that we include the school districts, the high schools, when people are starting to drive is in high school, and we need to push that message out through the high schools, make sure you're there for graduation. And also there are a lot of nonprofit organizations like the Jacob Hefner organization. Sorry, I say the name wrong every time, I apologize. But, maybe work with some of these community groups that are actually trying to target distracted driving, bad driving, inexperienced driving. And don't forget, it's not just the young drivers, there's old drivers too, that maybe need a little re-education. shall we say. Cars are going faster now than ever, and here's the difference. Because I drove a big old piece of crap truck for decades. You see me out there in the parking lot, and you knew how fast you're going because you could feel it. You could hear the wind blowing through those windows with the seals, right? You knew how fast you're going. The new cars are so well built, and they're so sealed, and they're so quiet. You could be flying at 80 miles an hour and not even realize it. And I think the word needs to get out that you need to really start watching your speedometer because you don't have the tactical awareness that you used to have when you could hear the wind and you could hear the noise and you could hear the road underneath you moving. The new cars are too well built. They're built for speed. You don't know how fast you're going. So we need to. I definitely want to work with you on that transportation plan and then try to slow people down because too many people are being hurt and injured and dying. So I want to help with that.
Yeah, that is very true. And I cringe every time I get on social media news apps and I just see car accident, followed by another car accident.
Yep.
I just really wish people would slow down. So, things to work on, things we're gonna move forward with. Thank you for taking my suggestion, all of our suggestions last week on that. Anybody else? Seeing none? Okay, item number 11, non-agenda public comments. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody ready to speak?
We have Eugene Hernandez.
Okay. Eugene.
Mayor Austin Powers.
Love it.
I would just like to say that at the last meeting, there was there was a comment by Charles Murphy regarding the town hall, and I found it very insulting that he thought this town hall held by Andrea Alarcon was something sinister and it shouldn't have been allowed. And I take offense of that. And I would like to also give my support. I think we should have a town hall on mental illness and about the traffic, because every single day you pick up the Antelope Valley Press, 2 or 3 people have died in as pedestrians or drivers. And I think, especially with younger drivers, the news is coming out. They're driving senselessly prior to graduation, and it's just becoming a killing field in our streets. And we need to focus public attention on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
We have Corbin Ingram.
Hi, Corbin.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great.
How is everybody on the council and the city and the clerks and everybody? We've had conversation about the air transportation.
I shared it with Councilmember Olson.
And hopefully I can get that partnership agreement signed for the pro bono work where I can do a study on the air taxis for my dissertation project. I'm actually a lifelong learner. I've got a lot of engineering degrees and all that kind of stuff, and I'm on the verge of finishing another doctorate. And I want to do a study on air traffic and air taxis. I'm actually doing some contract work for an organization up in the Bay Area right now that's building air taxis. This is the future. And right now, it takes 3 hours or more to get to the airport. And I'm on an airplane almost every month. And I can't take that 3 hours to 4 hours to 5 hours and barely making my airplane, my plane. So I want to do that study. I want to tell my chair also that this study is on the way. So that's where I am right now. That's why I came here tonight. It's pro bono. It's not going to cost the city anything. I'm here giving the city something. Okay. So I need 2 people to sign off on this partnership agreement. That's it. That's what I need to do the study.
All right. Thank you. We'll connect after the meeting and
okay.
I'll get you connected with staff.
All
Thank
right.
you, Corbin.
Thanks.
Next speaker.
Roger Satterstadt.
Hello, sir.
The stalwart defenders of the public monies, and you're doing a great job. I'm thinking you could probably do even a little bit better if you were a little more careful with these expenditures. I liked what you said earlier about the public being interested in infrastructure as the highest priority. Boy, can I second that. That's what we need. These other programs might be pushed off onto the back burner until our streets and sidewalks and parks and everything are just jewels. Also, I'm glad that he brought up about the airport. So what happened with the airport? When the Los Angeles turned it over to Palmdale, I thought, oh, this is great. We're going to be flying again like we used to be with United. But I've been disappointed. So I hope you guys can get something going there. Thanks.
Thank you.
I get the over the glasses nod from the clerk.
There you go.
My name is Marcia Furman. In your agenda, under public comment rules, in furtherance of section, I'm not going to read the number of the Brown Act, the public is allotted to speak a total of 2 minutes, which it does not say that in the Brown Act, does not specify the minutes, on the entirety of the consent calendar, appointments, new business, and closed session. And today, on our agenda, it was added that also, number 8, the joint budget workshop presentation would also be in that category. But it does not say that here, as it does every week, but because it was here, it was decided that the public would have that 2 minutes that was the calendar and any other business and the budget all put together in their tiny little 2 minutes. But it does not say that. So it's different strokes for different folks, obviously. The 12 pages of charts that we saw was available to us online. Councilman Betancourt asked about the public's ability to speak and was told, oh, well, it's online. They have a chance to look at it. Well, you can look at it. It is 12 pages of charts. Now, that didn't suffice for any of you. You needed explanations. You needed to understand what was on those charts. But we were not allowed to have that given to us and then be able to speak on it. So again, different strokes for different folks.
Thanks, Marcia. Any speakers? Any more? Okay. Seeing none. So it moves us to item number 12.
Wait. Can I just make one comment?
Of course.
I'm not responding to anybody. I'm just talking to the council. In the future, can we see that the public may have an opportunity to speak after something's been presented? Or maybe they can ask their questions to someone before the presentation? I mean, she's right. I mean, we had to have explanations to things. If someone were to view those 12 pages and had questions, who would they know to call? Would they all call Janelle before the council meeting? You see what I'm saying? It can be those budgets are not easy to begin with. But I do think that the public should have an opportunity to ask questions. If we could just keep that in mind maybe for the next budget round.
Budget.
I would appreciate that. I think the public would too.
You can get some nods over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I can call Janelle.
All right, item number 12, presentation by city attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, public. We have one properly agendized item, 12.1. Council will be considering initiation of litigation. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is the subject of the discussion. You may be aware that the city of Lancaster has filed an action relating primarily to funding and how billings occurred, and they filed it as a class action. They have asked all the cities that have contracts with the sheriffs to consider participation. We will be considering participation.
So, I'm probably going to have to recuse myself from this closed session?
That would be best.
That would be best. for everyone, right? So yeah, I'll just grab my food and go hide in the corner somewhere.
The
So
reason is because you are a member of the sheriff's.
because I am a member of the sheriff's department, so I cannot get involved in any litigations whatsoever or make any comments or any of that.
Okay, so showing for the record, Councilmember Betancourt will be recusing herself
yeah.
from 12.1.
I'll be in a little office somewhere eating a snack.
We'll keep you in the green room.
Thank you.
Okay.
Before we adjourn to closed session though, I know that you had some words that you wanted to say for adjournment. I don't think a lot of people hang on to after closed session, so do you want to say those now?
I would. So let me take a deep breath because goodbyes are really hard. And tonight we're going to be adjourning in honor of retired Lieutenant Ron Shreves. And so I'm just going to read this because it's too hard to do it without reading it. It is with a heavy heart that I announce the passing of retired LASD Lieutenant Ronald Shreves, who was my friend. Ron passed away surrounded by his loving family on May 11, 2024. Ron joined the Sheriff's Department in June 17th, 1970, and he retired in 2003. Ron Shreves was the first lieutenant I ever had with the Sheriff's Department at Lancaster Sheriff Station. Ron was famous for his professionalism and his kindness, even to those that he had to arrest. He was a dedicated civil servant who was an example to all and whose children followed his calling in the law enforcement field. I believe all of his children are involved in law enforcement in some way. Ron was also an inspirational professor for decades at the Antelope Valley College, and if you ever took one of Ron Shreves' classes, you are familiar with his famous murder book. So if you've taken his class, you had to do a murder book. He was known for that. Ron was a mentor to me and other criminal justice instructors at Antelope Valley College, and I am eternally grateful, for without him, I would not have taught for 21 years at AV College. Ron was also a man of faith, and he and his family attended Grace Chapel. Ron wanted to save everyone, and he always prayed for me and gave me guidance during the dark times in my life. He worked really hard to make sure that I was saved and gave me guidance on how to get to heaven. That was really important to him. So Ron, save a space for me up there. The community has lost an amazing leader who will not be forgotten, and I have lost my favorite mentor and a true friend. God bless you, Ron, and God bless his family. Thank you for letting me say that.
That was beautiful and very touching. I'm so sorry for your
So
loss.
I'd like to comment briefly.
Oh, of course.
To Sarah, I know you're grieving now, but you're part of that family. And I have to say that I did meet Ron frequently at the courthouse when I was an alternate public defender. And the things that you just mentioned about him, his sense of fairness and understanding that law enforcement and justice is a two-sided coin. I mean, you have prosecution, the sheriff's department engages in investigation of cases, matters are referred over to the district attorney's office, the district attorney decides to file cases, and then there's the case is processed through the courts. Ron always was very kind, understanding. He became a friend over the years, and I believe that the entire city mourns with you, Sarah, and I just want to express that I hope that God is with you during this time of grieving. But you're a wonderful person, a true reflection of your father. God bless you all.
It was very well said. Thank you, Richard. And we are here for you, Sarah. We're family here at the City of Palmdale. If you need anything from any of us, please feel free to reach out. Anybody else?
I didn't know him, but I know Sarah, and she's an amazing person. So he raised an amazing daughter. So for that I do know of him, we're grateful.
Yes, we are. All right. We're going to go ahead and adjourn to closed session. All right, and we're back. Announcement by City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council and our audience that stuck around. Council was updated, took no reportable action. Thank you, sir. Back to you.
All right, thank you. Well, that's going to be this meeting. We're going to adjourn to June 5th, 2024, 5 p.m. right here in the City Hall Council Chamber. Until then, take care of yourself and each other. And we're going to, one more time.
And we adjourn in the memory of Ronald Shreves.
Yes, we do. Have a good night.